communicate, but communication is part of the strategy.
Absolutely.
Right? So I'm going to tell you what to do because that's a huge difference in your DTI. If something was $130 a month and now it's $50, that could be $20,000, $30,000 more of house you can afford now.
Wow.
Right? So it's like I need to strategize and figure out. That's why it's so personalized. Yeah. That's why it's hard for me to give just a general. I mean, we can talk about general things, but when we get down to it and really getting somebody's goal and strategy set, it's going to be about that person because I'm analyzing that person's credit. I'm analyzing their debts. I'm analyzing their income to see where we can pull, who you can pull from. Let's talk about everybody. Yeah. Maybe I'll say something that'll spark something in your mind to bring something out. And that's.
Welcome to Keys to the Culture podcast. It's your hostess with the mostest, Maisha Robinson, and this is a place where we celebrate creators, innovators, entrepreneurs who are shaping the culture around us and giving relevant to the creator economy as we work every single day. Your social media is blowing up because these people are making things happen. They're giving you the information, and we like to celebrate them here. So in other words, we're rooting for everybody black, right? So today's guest is a super, super dope guest. She is someone that I look to as an inspiration. So let me give you a cute introduction, okay? Nekaya Carter, the driving force behind Carter & Carter, Inc., a real estate powerhouse. She's based in California. She's from Long Beach. She has a license over 15 years and a combined 35 years in the industry. And with her dynamic team, Nekaya is rewriting real estate playbook. She is also a motivator, mentor, trainer, and she motivates everyone around her. She also is a visionary and a founder of 218, a vision and nonprofit on a mission, and the fearless creator of Women Elevating Women. I said that wrong, but Women Elevating Women. And she is a powerhouse. She believes in women empowerment. She believes in women doing amazing things. She lifts them up. She lifts up her community. She is a real estate expert. And let's welcome Nekaya Carter. Hey, girl.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited you're here. But before we start, I got one question for you.
Yes.
When did you know that Black creativity was the culture?
Oh, I knew that from the start.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my family is deep into it. We celebrate Kwanzaa all the time.
Listen.
All the time. Yeah.
I love that.
Went over the principles. You know, we live by those. We go by those. We align and start our new year in that. So I've always been about Black creativity, Blackness, everything Black.
That's what I'm talking about. Look, we all about the Blackness and uplifting us. And listen, Black people, we are the culture. We shape the culture. Everyone takes from us. So we are the blueprint.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I love to start from the beginning with people and just really get a brief background story of where you're from and how did you get started in real estate today?
No, absolutely. So, hi, everyone. I'm Nekaya Carter. And the start. So, my mom was actually a real estate broker. My dad was a real estate investor. So, real estate has just been a part of my life from the very beginning. I come from a family of homeowners. Right? Even my immediate family. So it was always a goal. I always saw it happening around me. But I never really understood the process, but I was just always around it. You know, I always knew credit was important.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So I used to help actually my mom and her real estate brokerage help people with credit. So I know credit backwards and forward only because at the age 15, 16, I'm reading credit reports.
Come on.
Right? And helping them to understand, okay, it's super important to get this done and not do this, pay things on time, just the little things they do not tell us in high school.
Come on.
Right? And so that was really my start, my introduction. And as far as just leadership, just in high school, I was like, I'm going to be the yearbook editor. Yeah. I was varsity cheerleader. I was on the newspaper staff. So I was always the person to network and build those relationships, which in retrospect led me to entrepreneurship now, right?
Yeah, and that's super dope. I'm hearing a lot of financial literacy, financial education, financial management, and everything that you just said. And let's just get into the nitty gritty because I got so many questions about real estate.
Okay.
So you did mention credit.
Yes.
Now let's talk about the importance of credit.
Okay.
And how to get your credit to good standing to be able to qualify to make a purchase in real estate.
No, absolutely. So the first thing you want to do is monitor it. so many people that don't even take the opportunity to look at your credit. Like, we got to know what we're working with.
Yes, okay.
Right? So a great tip and a great free resource is annualcreditreport.com. Right? So that used to be free once a year. Ever since the pandemic, it's free every single week from all 3 bureaus. So we have no excuse, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
No excuse, right? So we need to monitor it. Let's see what's on there. Let's see. Some stuff is not ours.
Yeah.
Right? Let's see. Some people have similar names, been at the same address. It's things that we can clean up just by taking a look. Right? Yes. Secondly, you want to make sure, which is important, is communication with the creditors.
Yeah.
Life happens. We can't control life. But at the same time, if we communicate with these companies, hey, you know what? This month, I am falling back. I am late.
Yeah.
Is there any way you can extend maybe a payment holiday?
Ooh.
Yeah, like, you know what? I can't make it. They do have that. A lot of, we just don't know, right? But I'm the resource to just tell you. The language. It's important to have the right language too, right? So a payment holiday is one thing. Oh, you know what? Can you, instead of, I can't afford this car note this month, can you put it on the back end of my loan? So instead of the 36 years I signed up, 36 years. 36, used to home ownership.
Okay.
36 months I signed up for, it's going to just roll into 37 now. Right? Instead of not communicating, avoiding it, throwing the bill away, then all of a sudden it's 30 days late, then you're like, oh, then it's 60 days late, then it's 90. Then we had collection, then we had charge off, then we had a real we had a problem. Right? So if we nip it in the bud and really face it, let's find solutions before it even turns into that. Right? Maybe it's time to give the car back. I feel like a voluntary repossession is much better than a repossession.
That's a fact.
Right? And so so the thing is, because it affects you long term.
Yeah.
Right? So it is time for you to buy a house, we can explain. There's something called a letter of explanation when it comes to credit. We can explain a voluntary, you know what? This person fell on hard time. They lost their job back then. It's 4 years later, although it is still on their credit. Now they're in a good position. They made the responsible choice. They decided to give the car back. Yeah. They didn't hide anything, but now they're better. Now they make this, now they make that. Here's their payment history since then. Yeah. Everything is great. And they will go excuse that.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, communication is key.
And it's key.
Definitely.
I love that. Because a lot of people, let's be clear. It's a lot of people who come from low income backgrounds. They,
absolutely.
Experience, maybe they own Section 8, the credit ain't there. And they're trying to purchase a home at some point,
Right.
What is a credit score that's going to be acceptable? Is there a certain limit? Do you need to be in the 600s, the 700s to even qualify for a loan to purchase a home? And then also, what steps do they need to take to actually do that?
So 580, believe it or not.
580?
580.
No, I didn't know that.
You can go FHA to buy that first home with 3.5% down. And I could even get you a first-time home buyers program to cover the 3.5% down.
Wait a minute.
Hey, it's your girl Maisha from Keys to the Culture podcast. Are you a creative building a brand and want to take your business to the next level? Then listen up, because I got some exciting news for you. One of the fastest ways to reach your target audience is to promote on Keys to the Culture podcast. Why? Because we have some of the biggest names in the game, from musicians to CEOs to creatives and bosses of all kinds. So this is your chance to tap into our audience to grow your business to the next level. We work with small businesses as well as newbies in the game. So don't worry if you're just starting out, we got you covered. Are you ready to promote on Keys to Culture podcast? Well, click the link in the bio to promote today.
Okay, see, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the case. So what if they don't have income?
Well, income. You got to have some income to purchase a home.
I mean, because a lot of people don't. There's there's another organization. I can't remember the name of it, but they work with a lot of people with low to little income, and they help them kind of get the first time buyer program as well.
Is it NACA?
Yes.
Yeah,
let's talk about that.
Yeah. So NACA's a great program. It's great. It just takes a long time. Yeah. So to stay competitive in these markets, we have to, we write an offer when it's time to purchase a home. And so sometimes NACA will 60 to 90 days for closing. Yeah. Well, your offer is stronger when you can close faster.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't go to NACA. Like I said, it's a fantastic program, but just know and understand, we make it kind of bid out because you do have that down payment assistance program, and they know it takes 60 to 90 days to actually close it, right?
Oh, wow.
But NACA is an option.
Okay.
Right? But there's other ways you can purchase. You don't necessarily have to go through NACA when there's other programs that, we can put you into as well. Right?
Yeah.
So, and let me just also say this. We can help you with the down, but there is going to be 2% in closing costs. So everything that says no money down and all these different ways they love to come up with their creative marketing.
Yeah.
There's still fees, right? So I don't want anybody to think you can come and buy a house with zero money out of pocket.
There you go.
Clear that up.
Yeah, because I've heard that a lot, and I'll be like, wait a minute, that don't sound right. You know, first of all, you're getting a loan. Let's be clear. And if you're in California, that's a whole nother story. So I'm like, there has to be some kind of fees associated with that. And you hear so many different fees. And with the current state of real estate today, and all the craziness that has been going on with fluctuations in every aspect of every industry, like, how has that affected the real estate industry because of the pandemic?
I would say, so the pandemic was interesting. We had the 2 to 3% interest rates, right? But also on the flip side, the prices of the homes were very high, right? So now we're in a market where it's opposite of that, right? The rate today, November 3rd, 2023,
oh my God,
is 6.69%. FHA.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, it was 8.15%. They literally change every day, 3 times a day.
Ooh, okay.
Right? And so with that said, though, right now in this climate, the prices are lower. So it's almost like it offsets one another. Because that same home you bought for $800,000 at 2% is $650,000 at 6%.
Ooh.
So your payment, though, when you calculate it, is most likely kind of neck and neck.
Yeah.
Right? So people, I hate having the rate conversation because it's really a payment conversation.
Yeah.
Like, what can you afford? So if I told you, hey, you can get this house, that's the house you want, it's $5,000 a month, you can afford that, that's all we need to talk about. Let me worry about the rate in the back end.
Yeah.
But just know I'm not going to exceed your monthly budget.
That's a fact.
Right? And so, because we can, like I said, we can have the rate conversation 3 times a day, every day. And if I did that with every client, whew, right?
Right.
So, but I think it's important that people really stay focused on the payment. Like, if I can buy where you can afford is number 1, and buy where you can afford is number 2, right? And it can be in California, believe it or not.
I believe it.
It may not be in the city of Torrance. Right. Right. But we can maybe go to California City. I don't even know if you ever heard of that. We can
have.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah.
I had a client, she got a brand, that house is amazing. It's $220,000.
Wait a minute. Okay, so we're going to basically talk after this.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Because you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell people, like, think about your first car. Your first car is not what you wanted. You were just happy to be off that bus.
Absolutely. Come on.
It didn't even matter. Baby, I had a 1980 Honda Accord that was sea green.
Okay.
And people was calling shotgun because they wasn't on that Long Beach Transit.
Okay.
Yes. So, but I'm not driving that today.
Period.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So people have to think, okay, my first property can be not where I want it to be, but let me use that.
Yeah.
Let me jump in where I can fit in.
Absolutely.
Let me own that property for a couple of years, right? Let me take out money because now I bought it for $300,000. People in the pandemic bought for $300,000. The house is worth $550,000 right now.
That's a fact.
That's $250,000 in what, 3 years?
Woo. Big profits.
Big profits, right? And that's how we as Black folks need to start thinking, and our mindset has to stop with these $1,500 car notes.
Woo! Say it again.
While living where? Probably with your parents still.
Yes.
Or with a roommate.
Yes.
Talking about you don't want to live in a certain part of town. Like, we have to change that mindset.
Yeah.
Right? We have to be able to sacrifice. And yes, we're going to live in the hood. We're going to live on the other side of the 110.
Okay. That's a fact.
But let's just live there so we can get $300,000 in a couple of years then.
It's a sacrifice.
It is.
And you know what's crazy? They're paying for it anyway because these apartments are getting up there to mortgage prices.
Definitely are.
I've been seeing a huge fluctuation in prices on apartments. Just me looking around like, oh, you know, I would love to move in the next year or so. And I'm looking at these places. I'm like, you're paying a mortgage now.
Oh, you are. You are.
So that's no excuse for people to be able to afford a home.
No excuse.
Listen, y'all playing games. Let's get into it. So when it comes, you did mention something about 3% initially before. I said someone who may be low income, but they can afford maybe a 200 to 300K house or something?
Yeah, so what I do, because I have consultations all the time, and some are, low income, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, a couple different things. We have to make sure that they know that all incomes count, permanent incomes. And when I say that, some people don't realize retirement incomes count. Maybe we can bring on an older relative that can help, right? Social Security does count. We can count IHSS. The things that we get that's permanent, we can count. A lot of people don't realize that. For example, I had a client, he qualified for a duplex. And he was like, dang, I really wish I could just have that extra $100,000 that'll really get me over. And he's like, I said, do you know anybody? Can you think of anybody that can help you? He was like, well, my mom, but she don't have no income. I said, well, how does she live? What do you mean? Well, she just has Social Security and she just has retirement. I said, that's income.
Yes.
We added mom to his loan, and they are owners of a duplex and have been in there for over 2 years.
Whoa.
But in his mind, he assumed she has no income. Well, how's she living? Yeah. Everybody has some type of income. Yeah. So again, if it's permanent, it counts. Right? So that's number one when it comes to low income. Number two is we count income after 2 years. 2 years flies by like this.
Yeah, it does.
Right? So if you start maybe, okay, I'm going to start Ubering, or I'm going to grab a part-time job, or I'm going to do what I need to do because this is really my goal of mine. Yeah. Let's just set up a plan. We can set up a 2-year plan. When I talk to people, you don't have to buy tomorrow. Right? Yes. I help you for free set that up and give you a plan so that if you follow your plan and complete your goals, then you will get those keys, right? Wow. And so those are the two things, and between those two things, we come up with a plan and a solution, right? So I want everyone to feel encouraged, like I'm never going to be able to, like, no, you are going to be able to buy. Yeah. It's not going to, like I said, it's not going to be where you want for the first time, but you can have a mortgage, right? You can own a home. You can get those keys, right? It's going to take some time. It's not going to be where you want it to be at first, but it can happen.
But it can happen. And that's the main thing. Okay, so what about people with student loans? How does that affect you being able to get property of any kind?
Yeah, so student loans, they're always just a nuisance, but they're amazing. But one of my clients, she had $400,000 worth of debt.
400?
Student loan debt. And I handed her keys to her condo. Okay. So let me tell you how it's a couple different ways. So sometimes it depends on what industry you're in and where you work. Yeah. Because some of them are at a zero payment. Some of them are forgiven after a certain amount of years. Mine just got forgiven. I was happy because it was over 20 years, right? So lately in this different climate, they're doing different things with student loans. But let's just say, okay, I have a student loan. And my first question would be, have you went to studentaid.gov to see if you qualify for maybe a income-driven repayment plan or an income-based repayment plan? I love it. Is there, because those payments can be $0 to $100. Whatever your payment is, that's what I'm going to see on your credit report, and that's what I'm going to count. So if it say $10 a month, your student loan payment is $10 a month. Okay. Right? If it is deferred, what we do is we have to take 0.5% of the balance, and that's how we calculate it to fit it, because it has to fit into what we call our debt-to-income ratio.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So there's ways, it's obviously it's not a detriment. You can definitely get in. We just have to figure out a solution for that too. Okay. Right? So a lot of the real estate game is really just being with that person that knows how to strategize, that knows the guidelines, that knows how to really deliver the proper solution to make it happen for you.
That's so good. Because I think a lot of people, they get discouraged by that. Because I have my own student debt, y'all, that got to go away. So I know exactly, like I thought about that before, like even before the pandemic, I was preparing to purchase property. Okay. And then the pandemic hit me hard. I lost my day job because I was working a regular job at the time. And, it just pushed me into my entrepreneurship journey full time. Like I was already doing it on the side, right? But I got thrust into it from the pandemic, which been beneficial, thank God. It hasn't been a negative experience, but that always was in the back of my mind, like, how is this going to affect me when it goes towards me getting property? Now, what about credit card debt and personal loans that people may have had? And, God forbid you not over 100K, but if that is an obstacle, how does that affect your probability as well?
So it's a monthly transaction, right? So we look at all the monthly payments, not necessarily the So let's say you have a personal loan of $20,000. I'm not looking at the $20,000 balance. I'm looking at what your monthly payment is. Correct, right? And if an installment account, which is the personal loans, the car notes, if they are 10 months or less, we don't even count them. So one of the strategies I'll tell folks is like, okay, let's pay this one account down to 10 months, and I don't even have to count it in your DTI anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like kind of like a strategy as well. As far as credit card debt, same thing. I don't look at the entire balance, just whatever the minimum payment is.
Yeah.
The first thing people say is, "Oh, I pay extra a month," and it's like, well, that's not what I need to hear.
Yeah.
I need to know what that minimum payment is, because once I run your credit report, I'll see it anyway.
That's a fact.
Right. And then even with that, so some of them are, okay, my minimum payment is $130. I'm in mind, I'm like, dang, I need that down to $50. Let's call the credit card company and say, you know what, for the next couple of months, I really can't afford it. Can we just lower my minimum payment to $50 just for 90 days? They'll probably be like, no problem. And then I'm going to run you and I'm going to see 50 and I'm going to take that.
Wait a minute. Let's go back. Wait a minute. Let's go back. Now, go back. How do you get it down to 50?
Remember I told you at the beginning that communication is key?
Yes.
I'm giving all my secrets on this thing now. But no, it's communication.
Oh my God.
A closed mouth don't get fed. So why can't you call customer service? Because that's who they are, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And you say, hey, you know what? People are humans. So it all depends on sometimes who you get on that customer service, who's that customer service specialist on that other line. Mm-hmm. They know what they can do and what they cannot do.
That's a fact.
Right? So they have a department where they will help you with things like this. Because they don't want to lose money either. They don't want to send you to default. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to do that, right? So the thing is like, okay, let's communicate. Well, she says she only needs 90 days. Oh, okay, great. Oh, you can? Oh, great. Can I speak to your manager? Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Be super nice. Oh, is your supervisor there? Because they say, oh, you know, that's not something I could do. Great. Is there a supervisor? Mm-hmm. Right? So sometimes you take that extra step. Yeah. Right, to get that done. But again, communication, communicate. But communication is part of the strategy.
Absolutely.
Right? So I'm going to tell you what to do because that's a huge difference in your DTI. If something was $130 a month and now it's $50, that could be $20,000, $30,000 more of house you can afford now.
Wow.
Right? So it's like I need to strategize and figure out. That's why it's so personalized. Yeah. That's why it's hard for me to give just a general. I mean, we can talk about general things, but when we get down to it and really getting somebody's goal and strategy set, it's going to be about that person because I'm analyzing that person's credit. I'm analyzing their debts. I'm analyzing their income to see where we can pull, who you can pull from. Let's talk about everybody. Yeah. Maybe I'll say something that'll spark something in your mind to bring something out. Yes. And that's what I'm trying to get. Yes. So it's super personalized.
That is super dope. Like I didn't know any of that. I ain't gonna front y'all. I didn't know nothing about that. That is not my ministry, but I'm definitely gonna be utilizing this. And then also, you know, people get behind on payments. You know, they may be behind on their car payments. They're behind on credit card payments or whatever. When it comes to purchasing property, how does that affect you? And then do you have to have like a year, 2 years of just not any late payments or anything to have a better chance of getting that loan?
Right. So what we're going to do, all those different things are explained because what the lender will ask for is a letter of explanation. Right. So they'll say, okay, well, what happened? They want to know what happened. Yeah. Again, everyone's a human. They need to know, like, okay, well, why were they late? Did they lose their job? Did someone pass away? Were they in the hospital? Because you never know, what happened. Some things that we can't control. Mm-hmm. So, but I would say at least 6 months prior to you actually moving forward that nothing is late. Yeah. Right. It can be late in the past. We can explain some stuff 3, 4, 5 years ago. Yeah. But we can't be late yesterday. And we're talking about, please loan me $500,000.
Right.
Right. So, and I also tell my clients that let's think about this the other way around. Mm-hmm. Looking at you, because none of this is personal. So they're not looking at Nekaya. They're just looking at, okay, here's somebody's profile. Would we loan this person based on what we see, $500,000 of our money? Yeah. Are we guaranteed to get it back? Mm-hmm. And I would touch on income too, because some people say, well, I'm self-employed, but I do make this, but then I didn't claim it on the taxes, but I do have it. It's like, well, they need to see it. So how are you keeping track of your income? Yeah. So my self-employed folks, I need you guys to keep track of that. I don't know if that's QuickBooks. I don't know what that system is, but you need a system to track your income if you're really trying to make a purchase.
That's a fact.
Right, because we have to prove it, right? Yes. Okay, how can this person pay his $4,000 a month mortgage? When they telling me it's in Zelle or it's in my mattress or it's over here, like we have to prove it and show the record of it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, it's okay to be self-employed, but let's get smart about it. And whatever you tell the IRS is what we have to take.
That's a fact.
Right? So you have to bite the bullet. You can't have it all the time.
Yes. And y'all take care of your books, please. Because
Thank
I
you.
had this conversation with so many people. Please do your taxes. Be in compliance.
Absolutely.
When it comes to your business, because that opens up even other opportunities when it comes to grant programs, other programs within your city or your state.
Absolutely.
You need to be in good standing, just period. And then personally as well. So I love how you touched on the business aspect of it too, because you can purchase property within your business name as well.
You can.
So how does that work? And what are some obstacles that people will face when doing that?
So the first couple times, though, you have to have a personal guarantee. Okay. So it will go under your personal name at first. Look at your personal credit, because the LLC needs to be what we call seasoned, or the corporation, whichever route you're going, even the nonprofit.
Yeah.
Right? It needs to be seasoned so they can show, okay, well, this entity has owned before.
Yeah.
So you got to build the entity's credit too. Because in reality, it's a separate person.
Yes.
So if you can't, your first purchase can't just be, a house. Right? Like everything has to be seasoned. Right? So I would say, like, open up that, I hope, and of course, separate bank accounts, because we're talking about books now, right? And then let's start getting those credit cards. Let's start getting those trade lines. Let's start getting the car. Right? Like my car, I just got a new car. I'm throwing that in company name, Carter & Carter and Nekaya Carter.
Yes.
Right? And so those are the things we need so we can build it up. The same way we build up our personal, we got to start building up the business right? With the Dun & Bradstreet and all that good stuff, right? So those are a couple of obstacles they face at first, but once it gets seasoned, you'll be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like people don't even understand how business credit works and how beneficial it is to build your business credit and then make purchases too, even a tax write-off.
Yes, for sure.
Y'all, the taxes, crazy. Because
Yes.
I definitely utilize my business for a few things. And then explain what trade lines is briefly to give them an understanding what that is, because some people just don't know.
Oh, trade lines. So gas cards are the easiest, I believe. Like your Staples line of credit when you're ordering supplies. What else? Uline. Home Depot, Uline. What else was pretty? Capital One was a pretty easy business card. The Spark was pretty easy to get at first.
Yeah.
Then came the Amex. Like once you get it, see me, I have a whole credit strategy, right? So I get nothing. I don't even know where my debit card is, because everything that I purchase is credit.
Yes.
Everything. My card note, every single thing I can put. I don't care if it costs me an extra 2%, whatever they try to charge you. I do that on purpose because it's building my credit, and then I pay it off at once every single month. Yes. So that's one of two things. Sometimes it's painful because I'm like, I spent this because it's easier to kind of let it just swipe a card and
absolutely,
and it goes by per transaction. But when you turn around and you look at a statement and you got to cut the check for the whole thing, it makes you look at your habits like, oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna cut back on this month, but it's a great strategy because I was able to build my credit like all the way back up and super fast by doing that.
Yeah.
Right. And so and at the same time, it's in my business name, so I'm doing it all at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of great that I had a personal guarantee because I'm building personal, business, and the score's going up. I'm at an 815. I never seen 8 anything my entire life.
Woo! You're doing really good.
So thank you. But I filed bankruptcy. Right?
Listen.
So, so I'm only speaking about it because I know about it.
Yeah.
And I did this, with myself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it's just one of those things where, I've experienced it. I've experienced home ownership. I've experienced rebuilding credit, right?
Yeah,
I've experienced, my first condo purchase was in Ontario. I've experienced moving away to do what you need to do and then bring it on back. So, I think it's super important to just really just know, like you say, you didn't even know some of these things. Yeah. And that's what we do at Carter & Carter is that we educate, we elevate, and we empower. Like I have to educate my people. Yeah. Because we just don't know. Like every consultation, they're like, Nekaya, all the real estate folks I talk to, like you were so in depth, you have a goal. Like, I mean, you have goals for us. And I'm just so excited. Like you really do I need to pay you for this? And I'm like, you know what, no. Right, it's gonna come back, right? Yeah. But I need you to know the correct information because I'm also tell you how it really is. You know what? At the rate you're going, you won't be able to afford it by yourself. Or have you ever thought of, because then I start going into like sometimes life conversations. Because I'd be like, so have you thought about maybe another industry, or where are your skills at? Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Right? Because my thing is, I'm about to get, but anyways, I didn't build a couple men up. So if I can build some men up, I can build my community up. You get what I'm saying?
Fact.
So no longer doing that, FYI. But at the same time, that type of energy is what I give to every consultation. In other words, that's why I brought that up.
Yeah.
Right. So if I can see a solution and I can help you, then that's what I want to at least give you in the 30 minutes that we have together.
That is so dope. Like you're doing the Lord's work out here.
Thank you.
Because I feel like it's not enough conversations around this for us. We look at our community, most of us living in apartments.
Absolutely.
And the pandemic, oh my God, it has made everything a little bit more complicated. A lot of people have to move in, move back with their parents, move with family, and trying to get things together because a lot of people have lost their jobs. It's been very hard.
It has been.
It has been very, very hard. I've experienced my challenges, and I know a lot of people who have, and everyone that I know eventually want to own property. And let's get into the multi-units. Is it the same process for multi-units as going for, a single family home?
It is. At the end of the day, it's the same. The difference is because I specialize in a lot of duplexes. I like duplex because you can still get down payment assistance for them.
Yes.
Once you cross over and you 3 or more, that's really like they're not going to pay you to kind of cash flow and become an investor. But at the duplex level, they will, right? And they will still help you get those, get those properties at lower cost coming in, I should say. So it's the same process though. Same debt to income ratio. Take a look at everythth The true difference, though, is that when we calculate how much you qualify for, we're able to increase your income by adding 75% of the other unit to your income. Right? So let's say, for example, that the second unit can rent for $2,000 a month. Let's just up it to $3,000 since we're in this climate right now.
Exactly.
$3,000 a month, right? We were able to take 75% of $3,000 a month and add it to your income, as if that's your income, because you're going to be the landlord, right? So that helps you qualify for even more for a duplex.
I love it.
But I need people to understand it's a whole entire business. You are a landlord now.
Yeah.
You're a small business owner. So what comes that multi-unit sounds amazing. It sounds great. Of course, it subsidizes my mortgage. Somebody will help me pay for the mortgage. But guess who they're calling at 2:00 in the morning when the toilet overflows now?
You.
Correct. Yes. Right. So we got to make sure that you understand that your increased responsibilities. It's pros and cons to everything.
Absolutely.
Right. But great tax write off everything, the interest, the renovations, the remodel. Right. It's so many great benefits, but understand it also is a responsibility.
Yeah.
You can also hire property management companies as well, and they'll collect the rent and they'll take care of repairs and stuff. But of course, a percentage. You got to pay for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's other ways to work it, but I need people to understand as well. Like she mentioned books, that's super important, especially if you're going into becoming a landlord, right? Because now you're responsible for someone else, right? We're talking about lease agreements. We're talking about contracts now. We're talking about, like you brought up the pandemic. It was tough. They didn't get paid.
Yeah.
They couldn't pay. Struggling, right? So you have to just be prepared. I'm not saying prepare for a pandemic, but I'm saying be prepared and know that, you can have some cushion in the bank. Sometimes that property, for every reason, may be transitioning tenants. Someone moves out, you got to wait a month or two to move in. Guess what? That mortgage is still due every 15th of the month, right? So I just want people to understand the reality of owning the multi-unit. It's great. It's amazing, but understand, too, that it is a mindset. So I explain that to my clients, all my duplex owners, right from the beginning. Yeah. Right? And I need you guys to keep track of this. I'm going to educate you along the way. But write down what I'm saying. Retain what I'm saying. If I give you a resource, actually look it up. Actually read it. If I forward you a post on Instagram, read it. Right? Yes. And so, education is key, especially because I'm not in the business of handing you keys and I'm leaving. It's a relationship. Yeah. I'm gonna help you retain that property because we want to buy number 2. We want to buy number 3. We want to buy up the whole neighborhood.
That's a fact.
Right. And so this is not about, I'm finna put you some keys you're never going to see Nekaya again. Right. I'm your real estate resource for life.
I love that. Yeah. We're going to definitely work together, y'all.
Absolutely.
Because I definitely got some things in my pocket that I want to do. So we'll have a conversation And, is it the same for commercial real estate?
Commercial is a little bit different. Now when you say that, you talking about leasing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so commercial leasing, even residential lease, is just a little bit different. So they want to just make sure it's not really necessarily on DTI too much. They just want to make sure that you have kind of like 3 times the rent type of same deal, kind of like that. Make sure your credit is decent, right? Kind of make sure you can. Depends, they have triple net leases in commercial too, where you're even responsible for the owner's property taxes. Right. So it's all kind of different ways. And like commercial is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
So you have to be ready for that. Means if you're commercial, you have a whole different mindset.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but it's a little different. It's more so the process is more like renting versus preparing to own. But they still want to know everything, of course. We're still going to run the credit. We're still going to look at the, even your business credit report at that point. Right. We're going to look at your financials. Right, to make sure. It depends what kind of space you're getting. I know like the Savoy's on for sale right now. So whoever's coming in there, they're probably gonna see, okay, well, you want to run a club. Have you run a club before? Well, let's see your financials, like to make sure that you can afford it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's just like sometimes the owners set their own kind of requirements and things and documents that they want to see.
Yeah.
So on the lease side, it's more, okay, what does the owner want to see? What does the owner want? What is the owner looking for? Absolutely. They kind of set the tone.
Yeah, and I was looking around for a while for a location for my studio, and just looking around at some of the opportunities around just throughout LA. I've seen them offering 3 to 5 year contracts.
Yep.
Then the contracts, I've had anything between $5,000 a month to $30,000 a month that I've seen for particular buildings, and then how big it is and all that stuff. That's a lot of intricate details that you really got to pay attention to.
Oh, absolutely.
And then also insurance when you have these properties. I think people forget it's not just I'm paying this lease and that's it. There's a whole list of line items that you have to take care of.
Absolutely.
Signing these contracts.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's in your mortgage too. So a mortgage includes principal, interest, includes your property insurance, your home insurance, and that PMI. Right, which is the mortgage, pretty much the lender's insurance to kind of cover that. So, and your taxes. So it's an all-inclusive payment.
Yeah.
Right, so it's one of those things where people, they pull up on these little apps. Oh, my mortgage is only going to be that. I'm like, they're just giving you the principal, interest, and probably with 20% down. Let's toggle that over to 3.5% down and watch all the numbers change.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
So we kind of got to know what we're looking at, and we got to know that we're comparing apples with apples and not necessarily comparing apples with oranges. You get what I mean? But no, commercial, if you do everything correctly and you have someone, that's why it's good to hire a professional when you're doing big things like that.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you got to comb through that contract. Like I look at contracts all the time, so I can point this out. Oh, did you see this?
Yeah.
Did you see if you're going to be late, you're going to pay extra 20%? Did you see that?
Sheesh.
Did you see this? You're like, you never know what's embedded in the contracts because a lot of people don't read things.
They don't.
They just literally, sign here.
Exactly.
Sign here.
You get excited and you just signing it.
I think when we go anywhere, even if we check into, the doctor's office, they be like, sign these forms.
Read it.
I didn't see. Some people do. You probably in the very low percentage.
Right.
Some people fly through that. But I'm like, did they just do the clipboard in 2 minutes?
Oh,
They would slip all the just sign.
Exactly.
Sign. So, I think it's important though in real estate and really anything, but especially in this, because this is large. This could be the largest financial transaction in people's lives. We have to read everything. We have to ask questions. That's why I make sure I ask my clients, you have any questions? Because I could tell, you can tell when people, I could say, I think you have a question. So just give it to me.
Yeah, or they don't know what the right questions to answer. Like
or
to
ask.
Yeah. They just don't know yet. So you got to kind of like, talk to them.
Exactly.
Kind of like we're doing this very casual conversation because I'm asking a lot of questions I want to know. So then you talk to an expert. And, someone like you that's really going to be honest and open with them is amazing to even have. Because a lot of people, they just go into these situations. Okay, I want this property, sign it. And then a year later, you can't keep up the property.
Yep.
Now we got an issue.
Right.
The bank coming knocking at your door.
Exactly.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
So I really want to get into Carter & Carter.
Okay.
Let's talk about Carter & Carter. I know you said your family has a background in real estate. And let's just start about the startup of Carter & Carter and all the services that you provide.
Yeah, for sure. So I will start off by saying I did not want to get into real estate. I was like, nope. Because when you would grow up around something, you're just like, oh no. I used to hear my mom's horror stories talking about her clients. I used to be like, woo.
Yeah.
You going through a lot. And this was pre-social media and everything, right? This was just like real in the grind.
Yeah.
And so I didn't. I was like, you know what? Nope. Just what the family does, but I'm good, right? So I actually went to UC Berkeley. I got my undergrad from up there. So I lived in the Bay for a little bit. Came back, got my master's degree at Long Beach State. And I was like, what do I want to do? So I got my master's degree in sport management.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I was at Long Beach State doing that. So I've worked for the Clippers. I'm a Clipper fan.
Come on now.
I worked for the Clippers. I worked for the Galaxy, the LA Marathon, like basically anything sports related in LA. Because I have 3 little ones. Well, they big ones now. I have 3 kids, so I had to stay local. I wasn't able to, because I had job offers at different teams in different states, but I had to stay put. So with that said, I worked sports for a while. So I've always been in some type of sales, right? So eventually, because I actually worked for I had some stuff going on with Nike and all kind of different things. Amazing. And so eventually I was like, you know what? Sales, I need to maximize what I'm selling, right? Yeah. The true people making money are those folks on the court. That's right. Fact. And so I need to figure out what that is. So what happened was, this was a thought. My dad called me one day and said, hey, Nekaya, you should get your broker's license. And I was like, my broker's license? He was like, yeah, all you need to do is take the test. You already have a college degree. So back then, all you had to have was a college degree, and you can jump and take the broker's exam.
That's amazing.
Right? And so I was like, okay, because I'm a test taker. You know, I've had all kind of different certifications and licenses and stuff. So I was like, oh, yeah, I know this. Let me go ahead and just take it. Okay, it didn't work the first time because I'm like, who do I think I am? Right? So I actually had to study. And so I passed the test, right? And at the time, my sister got her salesperson license. Right. So in reality, when I started, because I have been licensed since for 17 years now, in 2007, my sister and my dad were actually working. And the first brokerage we had was called the Carter Brokerage.
Amazing.
Right. And so she was really the agent on most of his investment deals, so on and so forth. I, as the broker, I was kind of like on the back end, the contracts. I'm the studious person. I'm in there like, okay, making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted type of thing. But I'm still working in sports, right? So believe it or not, my real estate company started on the side.
Wow.
I have a different story, right? And so they're working it, they're doing it, so on and so forth. So it wasn't until... so that kept happening. So my dad passed away in 2015. Okay. I still was like, I'm working sports. I still wasn't really feeling the real estate. My sister had kind of stopped, obviously, for obvious reasons. But she still has some momentum going in it. So I was like, okay, you could go ahead and keep doing your thing, but I'm still over here. I'm still doing this. Yeah. Right. Then I jumped into insurance, and I was with this company, and I was trying to jumped into it because I need to learn more about life insurance. Some things came up when he passed away, and then I'm that person where if something happens and I don't know what's going on, I need to know what's going on, especially in that industry, this policy, going back to reading things through, right? Because I talked through experience. So learned all about the insurance, was selling, making sure people's, they had life insurance, doing all these different things, still helping people with their credit, helping people with their taxes. I was doing it all, right? And so as I'm there, their push is like, get to RVP, right? And that's their push. Yeah. Right? And they're like, so one time I went to their conference, I think it was in Atlanta. I remember on the flight home, I was thinking about everything they were saying, become this RVP, and I already worked myself up. I was like a district going to division or something. And I was like, in the back of my mind though, my real estate broker's license was expiring. But in my mind, I was like, I don't want to I don't want to do real estate, right? Yeah, yeah. So in my mind, finally, whatever happened, it clicked, and I said, Nekaya, you're the RVP of real estate already. Like, what are you doing? Right? So I got home. The next day, I kid you not, my agent, who is still with me today, called me and said, Nekaya, I just passed my real estate exam. I'm ready to go, and my friend just passed hers too. So
what?
And I was like, oh, well, here we go. Let's go.
Here we go.
And we opened the doors August 2017 and been going ever since. And I told myself, you know what? I'm going to quit everything. No more taxes, no more credit, no more all these side hustles, no more insurance, no more anything. And I'm gonna put my 100,000% into this. And I'm gonna create a brokerage that no one has. I love events. I'm gonna be an event-based brokerage. I'm gonna do this my way. I'm gonna make it fun for me. And I'm gonna build these relationships and network. And I'm gonna see what happens.
Come on.
And if I don't have a sale by the end of this year, then I'm gonna do something else. I had my first event in November. It was a home ownership workshop. My first client came from there, and I closed her in December.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, we on from here. And I had my first Women Elevating Women event that next February. And ever since then, it's just been on.
Whoa.
So that's how Carter & Carter started, brought it back, revamped it. And so currently we have 10 agents right now. Like I said earlier, our mission, we educate, we elevate, we empower. I'm an event-based brokerage, which means I have an events 2 to 3 times a month. My thing is to educate, right? I have a duplex workshop, how to buy a duplex in 90 days or less, how to buy a duplex as a first-time home buyer. I do Broker Talk Tuesdays, which are free. Last month, we talked about international real estate, which is great. We talked about credit. Of course, credit is always going to be a topic ongoing. We really, this month, we're diving into buying in Houston, right? I'm going to have somebody on from Colorado because my last 2, I'm also licensed in Houston, in Texas. So my last 2 clients actually have moved to Texas, right? And so really just trying to stay up to date and current in everything. I'm also a part of an organization, the Black Real Estate Association. It's called NARAB. And we call ourselves realtors because years ago, they wouldn't even allow Black folks to be realtors.
Come on.
So we went out and created our own organization, right?
Amazing.
So that organization turned 76 years old this year. And I'm in leadership there. I've been the YRD, which is Young Realtors Division of Los Angeles president. I was the founding chapter president for Black Professionals Network here in LA. I'm the president-elect. So no, listen, I'm coming back to my city, baby. So I helped to create a whole brand new chapter in Long Beach. So I'm the president-elect for the NARAB Long Beach chapter now. And all we do is talk about how we can increase Black home ownership. How can we make home ownership like just the talk, just what we do in our culture, right? And so, we're responsible for helping to change laws, right? Like I mentioned earlier, student loans. We take 0.5% of the balance. That used to be 1%. We played a part in lowering that to make it more affordable for us, right? And so I love being a part of that organization. I've transacted with all the realtors. We meet up 2-3 times a year in person. We have conferences, and we really just bring the resources and the value, and we come back and give that to our community, right? And so I've been in leadership over there since Carter & Carter started. We've had events. I encourage my team to be in leadership as well. It's helped their confidence because now I can really sit back and watch them run a workshop right now, right? And that's different than just I'm selling a house and I know this, right? I'm building up other skills and development, personal development in other ways and professional development. So I really love my team. We have a book club. We read a book every quarter. Just about how we can stay in the loop, how we can motivate, because you got to stay motivated. You got to have a team because entrepreneurship is lonely.
It is.
Right? So it's important to have a team, right? It's important to have that motivation and that support. And, a lot of us are moms, right? So I understand life happens. I understand kids get sick. I understand you got to drop everything, go pick up from school. And that's one of the reasons why I love entrepreneurship, because I'm like, I was wasting my energy, time, and talent sitting there at a desk. I was done with my work in like 2 hours, and the rest of the time I'm online. I don't know what I'm doing, right? I gotta tell you when I'm going on vacation. No, I'm good, right? I'm going. Like so the concept of it just wasn't for me. And so it's like I love to be able to, like my daughter is in high school now. I'm able to be on PTA. I'm able to go to meetings at 2. I'm able to work something at 12 noon in the middle of the day, right? So I love that flexibility, right? But it also takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, it does.
A lot of discipline, right? So I have to treat myself sometimes like, no, you at work. I got to cut my phone down, cut my phone off, right? Social media is not fun for me. It's a job.
That's
right?
Like,
it's a job, right?
It really is.
So, those algorithms, I got to follow them, right? So, I think, Carter & Carter has been great for me in a number of different ways, right? Just really making it and keeping it. It's a relationship business, so we have to stay in the community.
Yeah.
We have to stay out at events. If I'm not hosting the event, then I'm at an event.
That's a fact.
If I'm not creating it, then I'm there. And we go with intention. It's one thing to say, you know what, hey, I'm going to go to an event. No, I need, when you get there, how many people are you talking to?
Yes.
We're not drinking and lollygagging. We are intentional.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't count. We're intentional.
Yeah, that's a
right.
fact.
So, okay, well, great. So your goal is, if networking is going to be a way for you to kind of increase your business, your goal is to attend 5 a month and meet 10 people each time. That's 50 people.
That's amazing.
And if you do your job, everything is a numbers game.
Yeah, it is.
So if you're meeting 50 people every single month, we have no excuse.
Yeah.
Because people, 2 or 3 people won't come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I feel seen.
Right. So it's fortunate to follow up.
Yeah.
Too, right? And so that's what I've really been good at. So no, I love my brokerage. I love what I've created. You know, I just wish my dad was here to see it.
Yeah.
But you know what? I feel him with me in everything that I do.
Yes.
So.
Amen. I love that. You said a whole lot.
I did.
Listen, this woman is dope, okay?
Well, thank you.
So, listen. Okay. There's a couple of things I want to go into.
Yes.
Okay. With Carter & Carter, is real estate lucrative?
Of course it's lucrative.
So, okay. So, for someone who wants to get into real estate and say, you know what, I want to be an agent.
Okay.
If we look at their income from real estate, like, give an estimate of how much they can make.
So
it depends.
Yes.
Yes.
It's going to depend on your consistency and your dedication and your discipline.
Yes. There we
go.
So
if you look it up, they'll say like average real estate agent only makes $28,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, that depends what market you're in, where you're at. But a lot of them, to be honest with you, about 85% probably they don't work. They think, oh, let me get the license. This looks great. This is great on social media. Let me go get a photo shoot and let me stand in front of some homes, and I guess people will call me.
Nah. That ain't how it works, baby.
That's not how it works, right?
Yeah.
That's not how it works at all. So with that said, if you are committed, right, if you follow your own plan, say like a homeowner, right, you follow your own plan of your business and you really commit to it and you're consistent, then that's what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Because top producers still do that.
Yeah.
Right? Most real estate agents, they close a deal, especially out here in LA. Oh my God, I got 15,000. They on trips and stuff. Like, what's
that's
that?
a fact.
But the thing is, you have to stretch that out though.
That's a fact.
You know, so we got to keep going. We're going to celebrate, of course. A win is a win, but we're going to keep it. We're still going to be in office at 8 a.m. the next day on the phone prospecting like we didn't just close something.
Come on, the work.
It's the work.
You have to put the work in.
So my answer to your question is it depends on how much work you put in. Sky is the limit.
That's a bar. I feel like a lot of people, just in any industry, I think with this day and age, I sound like my mama, this day and age, I think this generation is really relying on just social media for everything, but it's even beyond social media. You know, it really is the connections you make, like the networking you're saying.
Absolutely.
It's the follow-ups. Those emails matter.
Yep.
You know, those contacts, they matter. And I think people just don't do the due diligence, even in entrepreneurship in a whole. Like, I look at people who have services and I'm like, well, okay, well, did you follow up? Do you have a website? Have you contacted these people? Have you sent emails out? No, I just post on social media. Baby, that's half the battle.
And even if you do, I go further and say, well, what do you even say in the DMs to them? Do you even have a system where they can set the appointment up? What are we transacting in DMs? Like, what are we doing?
Systems and processes.
Yes, like, you have to have that though.
Yeah,
whatever it is, and that could be very basic. I'm not saying go pay. That could be an Excel sheet. But what are you doing when you get them? Are you asking for their telephone number? Like, what are we even doing? So if you tell me social media and I do a social media, I look on your social media and I see nothing, then you're not really doing social media.
Yeah, we call that converting leads. Okay?
Yes.
That's when it goes from someone who's interested, product or service, and you convert them into a paying customer. That's really when you're doing business. You can get their attention.
Oh,
you can get their attention. Anybody can get attention. But then you can take them from a lead, someone of interest, and turn them to a paying customer. that's when you really have a business. That's a transaction. Okay.
Definitely a transaction. And I would say your partnerships are important too.
That's a fact.
With other folks in different industries. Like I have a slew of business relationships that I love, that I've cultivated, right, through different things, right? Even if it's offering them a platform to speak, right? Or if it's, let's collaborate and do an event together. Let's bring both of our fields together. Yeah. Right? And so those are important too, and you have to cultivate those as well.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your nonprofit, 218. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Your nonprofit, and then we can talk about Women Elevating Women, which is actually a part of your nonprofit as well.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So it is 218 Vision. So like I mentioned, my dad did pass away in 2015. His birthday was on February 18th. So hence the 218. And so prior to me actually launching 218 Vision, of course, I'm probably like a lot of us, I was doing things backwards. Didn't really even realize like this is nonprofit work, right? So like she mentioned, I've done an event called Women Elevating Women since 2018. And I love that event. What we do is women only, and we bring together all the industries, kind of how I just mentioned. And so I've had everything from a therapist, like working on our self-care, to really like going down to checking our blood type to see what foods we need to eat and not eat. I've had how to properly file your corporation taxes. I've had how to, obviously buy a home, how to buy a duplex, getting into like how to handle co-parenting, right? I've gotten to how to start a nonprofit, how to really build a nonprofit. And so I've even had somebody from Angela's Funeral Home and talk about your funeral, like your services. Like I didn't even know you can prepay and plan your own funeral. Right. So it's these different things. Yeah. And I've, and everywhere I go, I'm like, oh, I need to have that person speak because they're talking about something, that, like we said, that's all this is not in my ministry. So I'm not going to sit and talk about all these different things. Right. But there's so many different things we need to know about. Like yesterday I was somewhere, she was talking about safety. Us doing open houses by ourselves, but this can apply to all women, period.
Yes, it can.
Everywhere we are, we just never know, right? Especially in this day and age. And so she had weapons disguised as bracelets, and you come out, I was just like, wow, this like people need to know about these things, right? And so I was like, she's for sure gonna be on my platform. So I look out for community resources, and I put this event together, and it's been going strong. Like the women, I thought it was just going to be a home buyer workshop on steroids. And it was going to be one and done. That's how it started. But now it's just like a movement, right? So I just did my, what was that, number 16?
Whoa.
Women Elevating Women in April. The next one's in March. And I just love it. But yeah, 218. So that's one program for 218 Vision. The other one is real estate mentorship. Like I mentioned, my dad was a real estate investor. He's the one, like I said, he called me and said, get your broker's license. So this was his vision, hence vision. All right.
Love it.
And so we're finally real estate mentorship. So I have like a mentee right now who came in through that program. So every February 18th, I launch it. I ask people, hey, you want to start your career in real estate? I will help you. I will pay for the fees. I will mentor you for that first year. You're going to be a part of NARAB, so I'm going to introduce you to the realtors, right? Because since I'm in leadership, right, I'm going to pay your MLS fees, right? And I'm going to coach you, right? And you're going to do your own events. You're going to, figure out what, if it's not an event that you want to do, but let's figure out what is you in real estate, right? Let's pull that out of you, right? So that's important. So that's the mentorship program. That's the part of 218. Then we also do a holiday drive, right? So every year we find daughters that have lost their fathers that year, because all the first years are super sad, super hard. And that first holiday season, right, that's coming up for some folks, it gets real hard. That first Thanksgiving, that first Christmas, you see that empty chair that used to be, so on and so forth. So what we try to do is bring some light and some love into the homes of our daughters, especially of, like I've actually sat down in someone's living room, somebody I didn't even know, and I talked to, it was like an 8-year-old.
Wow.
And she lost her dad. So I have on a picture, a shirt of me and my dad, and I explain, like, I understand it's going to be fine. It's going to be tough, but he's always with you. And just give those words of encouragement and let them know, like, you're not alone in this space, right? And so then we'll do different events like Father's Day. Father's Day is just a tough day for some folks, And so we'll try, like, one year we gathered at the beach. And that was great because we were able to like kind of like we had these rocks, so we created rocks with our kind of like our dad's name on it. Then we had some fellowship. We started to cry. We started to laugh. We started to sing, right? And so Father's Day, it was like it like warmed my heart to really spend that day really giving back and really in that space with just folks that understand and they get it. So we do some grief stuff as well at 218. So I'm super excited. Like I didn't realize prior to me actually forming a nonprofit that I was doing nonprofit work, right? So with that said, although it's been going on since like 2018, we're finally going to launch this upcoming 218 in 2024. So I'm super excited about that.
That is so dope. Man, like I definitely want to be a part of that. I definitely want to add some value because, man, that just touched my heart completely. And, it's just a beautiful thing that you're doing so much for the community and you giving back and you really want to put energy into the next generation of people who are doing great things as well.
Absolutely.
Man, we gotta support this woman. Like, you're so amazing.
Well, thank you.
I'm super inspired.
Any support I get. And I'm all about coming together and I'm about partnership. And anything you're doing, I love to support as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got some things coming. Small businesses. I'm about to hook y'all up. But I definitely want you to leave a nugget for the next generation. People who want to get into real estate, whether they are just investors or agents, just give them like a quick nugget, some advice that you would give them.
No, absolutely. And that would be just start. You have to start the process and get serious, right? I've been trying to get my own son, who is 26 years old, to take the test, to do the classes, right? Yeah. It's a process in it. So once you start that process, stay committed to that process.
Yeah.
It's that commitment. And get into it for the right reasons. Right? We're not selling sunset. We're not doing any of these other things, right? It's a grind. It's a hustle, and you're doing great work.
Yeah.
But understand that it is work, right? Your phone is just not going to ring. And if it does, are you going to know how to handle that call?
Hello.
Right? So we want to make sure we're getting into this for the right reasons. We're educating ourselves, and you really become that real estate professional and that resource.
I love it.
Which means your app's going to look different. Your followers should look different. If you're serious, let's start following some serious people.
That's a fact.
Let's start retaining things like, okay, what are the rates today? Yeah. Right? I should be able to ask you if you have a real estate license, so what's the rate? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Oh, it's 6.69.
Come on.
Is that FHA or conventional? No, conventional is 7.05. Oh, okay. Right? So I need you to be that resource. So set yourself apart. And if you stay knowledgeable and if you stay educated and you know guidelines, you will succeed.
That's amazing. Listen, how can the people reach out to you? Website, your everything. Let them know.
Love it. Love it. So my website is Carter and Carter Inc. spelled out.com. My ad is the same, Carter and Carter Inc. My name is Nekaya Carter. My email is my name, Nekaya at carterandcarterinc.com.
That's so dope. Listen, follow. I'll make sure she tagged on everything because I'm definitely tapping in. Thank you all for watching the show. If you want to follow the show at Keys to the Culture Podcast on all stations, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, follow us at Keys to the Culture Podcast. If you want to follow me at I am Maisha, you can go to keystotheculturepodcast.com for more information. Become a sponsor, become a supporter, donate some funds, because so we can make all this amazing content continuously grow our community and give back. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Nekaya, for being here. And until next time, I'll see you soon.